Lucky Lefty Podcast. What's good? Look, before we get started, I'm in a good mood. I'm in a real good mood. Going into the bye week, getting ready to head out to Vegas, take on the BYU Cougars.
What's that in a week?
2 weeks.
2 weeks.
Off next week, following weekend, we get it popping in Vegas. Go 3-2. It's a thin line between
love and hate.
It is, right? Because this team is literally, as much as we think about this team not being the best team that we've seen, or one of the best teams we've seen, and all the struggles, this team is still 8 minutes of play in a fourth quarter away from being 3-1. And probably still in the top 20, top 15. With everything that's going wrong. I mean, it's that razor thin. It really is. But I don't want to bemoan that. We talk about this victory today, Left. It's the Lucky Lefty Podcast. I'm Shaun Davis. That dude is the original Lucky Lefty himself, Malik Zaire. We're brought to you by Anora Whiskey, AnoraWhiskey.com. It is that premium American whiskey, AnoraWhiskey.com. And if you're going to drink, make sure that you drink
responsibly always.
You have to. You have to. 45-32, Notre Dame gets the victory. It was, dude, I don't care what happened late. They dominated North Carolina. I would just like to say that I said Notre Dame would jump out to a 10-point lead at halftime and control the rest of the game and try to hold on, because I felt like North Carolina would tack on points at the end of the game. That's what I predicted, and that's exactly what happened down in Chapel Hill today. 45-32, Notre Dame gets the victory. You have to tip your cap to Drew Pyne. Come back from the struggles early in last week's game against Cal. Go 24 for 34, 289, 8.5 yards on the average, and 3 touchdowns. Really never put the ball in harm's way. Aldrich estimates 17 carries, 134 yards. I felt like they could have given the ball to Chris Tyree to get him 100 as well. He was 15 for 80. Logan Diggs was 10 for 50. And Drew Pyne, I'll give him credit. Early in the game, he came up with a key third down scramble. He ended up with 6 carries for 20 yards. He had a couple of key scrambles and a pull on an RPO to get a first down as well. Overall, what are your thoughts, Left, on the performance by Drew Pyne coming off of that kind of performance last week against Cal?
Very impressed with the fact that he was able to come back and be solid on the road against a team that, it's hard to really evaluate knowing that the defense is having a lack in where they are, but I'm glad that we took advantage of it and scored the points that were necessary. They gave up 40+. We scored 40+, so we're right on brand. But what makes sense, I'm just concerned about what it looks like when the games that matter the most. What are you going to look like versus USC? What are you going to look like versus BYU? We expect the games like that you had today. That's what we want. We got to see everybody touch the ball. We got to see the point score. We got to see what the offense can look like at its premium. At its premium. Is it going to work against all defenses? This was the worst defense to go against. So anything better than this, I would hope that we'd be able to step up to the challenge. But right now, this is the best that we can put out versus a very bad defense, and we look good. So I don't want to get too high, but not too low. I appreciate that we took advantage of what we were supposed to, but now let's try to finish it for moving forward.
Yeah, thank you to our guy, Sensational, out there in the desert. We can't wait to see you in a couple of weeks as well, Sensational. Can't wait to get out there and see you. LL Nation, Irish fans about to invade Las Vegas, 2-2 on the season. And, it's a much better feeling. We told Irish fans this, right? That this team will get better. They played much better than I expected. They played much better than you expected based upon the predicted scores we gave.
Yeah.
I said 28. I said 28-24. You predicted 24-21, if I'm not mistaken.
I predicted 24-21, but the offense, like we talked about earlier, they were able to execute, put together some things that, we felt like Tommy's a great play caller when the chips are non-expecting. So he was able to call some great plays, put some great things together, and guys were able to get open and make plays. So I was happy with what Tommy was able to put forth, but it's against a bad defense. It's like an asterisk.
Yeah.
It's not
No,
Ohio.
I push back. I push back on it being an asterisk. You know why? This team needs this. Like, I don't even care about the opponent. This is from now on, the rest of the season, this is all about Notre Dame. How Notre Dame plays, how they perform, how they execute. I don't care who the opponent is. They didn't execute against Marshall. They barely executed against Cal. To see the level of execution on both sides of the ball, offensively for most of the game, defensively for about 2 3/4 of the game. Because I don't know what happened to the defensive backfield in the fourth quarter.
That's right. I don't know. Yeah, I don't know.
Lewis and Cam Hart, I don't know what the hell is going on with them.
What was that? Yeah, what was that?
I don't know what the hell is going on. They just giving touchdowns away.
It's like, we're still playing, right? Like the game is won, but still.
If you watch Clarence Lewis on his touchdown that he gave up, you can see that he was like playing and anticipating from the formation. He was anticipating a dig route because he was sitting there waiting to jump it, but the receiver kept going on the fly, and he never accelerated until the receiver was past him, even though it was cover two. Like, you have safety help because it's cover two, but like the same thing with Cam Hart. And Orlovsky said it. Dude, it's 4th and 21. Why are you sitting? Run. It's a straight fly route. You run. Why are you sitting and turning him over? And on that play, they had Tariq playing safety. I don't know why, but they're playing cover two. Tariq has outside technique playing the other half of the field. And then by the time he turns, it's just, man, it was technique, bad play. As nitpicking, but it's like, you can't have that. And once again, to have stuff like that from your leaders, it's not the freshmen, it's the leaders. Jaden Mickey got beat early in the game. I'm cool with it. He was right there.
Yeah, that's a freshman play that,
and he should have played through the man. If he had played through the man, he probably would have been fine. But he tried to turn around and make a spectacular play off of 2 feet, and it just got over his hand. But it was a great throw by Drake May as well.
Great, Drake May, we know he's going to have some amazing stuff out there, but, it was just a better play by the offense. Like, the best offense beats the best defense, and he was able to show up right there.
Facts. So let's continue to talk about this offense. It's amazing, Lef, what can happen when you run the ball. It's amazing how the passing game gets easier and easier the better you run the ball.
And look how good Drew was looking, being able to run the ball, being able to do some different things. It was really good to see him be in a position where he can really function and not have the expectations and the pressure on him. He went out there and do what he was supposed to do. Tommy didn't have to call from the box to tell him that he needs to do his job. He was able to do what he was supposed to do, and he managed it well. It wasn't nothing spectacular. It was what was needed to continue the drives, to continue the first down and move the chains. He did his job, and look at what happened.
So shout out to, I will say this. It's funny. It was almost like they were watching the Georgia game in the locker room. Brock Bauer got his jet sweep for a 75-yard touchdown, and Michael Mayer got a jet sweep, even though he was on, I think he ran it for 8 yards, if I'm not mistaken. Look, man, this is every week. Nobody in the country can defend Michael Mayer.
No.
We said this before the season started. He showed it in practice. Nobody. No one. He's been open every game. And then they were finally smart to anticipate on third downs teams doubling and tripling Michael Mayer and going elsewhere. Now, for some reason, North Carolina didn't look at the tape and they wanted to play 10 yards off when everybody else played bump and run on Notre Dame.
That's right.
I have no clue why, but thank you, Mac Brown.
Film study was off for sure.
Man, thank you, Gene Chizik, because that was absolutely ridiculous. I don't know what you were thinking of. You know, Drake May on the day. Now, this is what I love. Drake May came into the game completing 70% of his passes. I will like to say in the first half, I was very happy with what they did to confuse Drake May. They showed him different things. They made him hold the ball. He hit a couple of big plays, made some big third downs. They did a really good job on the first drive getting North Carolina to third down. They just couldn't get off the field on third down.
That's right. They just couldn't get off the field. They just couldn't get off the field, but they was doing great throughout the whole time.
And then they get the fourth down on the first drive. Tariq Bracy's right there. He's right there. Josh Down goes up, holds onto the ball. That's just a great play, great throw by Drake May. They get the touchdown. They come back. They beat Mickey down the left sideline, like you said, fingertip away from knocking it away. And then they go in and get the touchdown on that drive. But after that, Notre Dame really, in my opinion, did a great job containing Drake May. He ended up 17 for 32, 301 yards, 9.4. The average definitely went up with those two long passes late in the game. 5 touchdowns. You know, stats look much better than what they probably should have been if it wasn't for the foolishness that Cam Hart and Clarence Lewis gave us late in the game.
Yeah, Cam Hart, I don't know what's been going on. He's been regressing a little bit. I want him to get back on track, but it's been tough for him these last few weeks.
Look, man, we said that the two teams that Notre Dame needed to play coming off that tough Marshall loss was Cal and North Carolina. Like, we were like, yo, this schedule could not have set up a team getting their confidence back than the two foes they faced the last 2 weeks. And as I said before, we could talk about how bad both of those teams are, but at the end of the day, this season, moving forward, is all about Notre Dame.
All about Notre Dame.
All about Notre Dame. Getting better, executing. They should be better than every team they face except for Clemson and USC. Flat out. And if Notre Dame plays and executes, they don't have to play perfect.
We don't have to play perfect.
No. Just play a good game. A B-level game will win every game. If they play an A game, they're definitely beating everybody on the schedule. And then we'll just see how Clemson and USC plays out.
We'll just see how those play out.
But that's it. We asked Drew Pyne to give us 200 yards and 2 touchdowns. That's what we asked from him this week. Give us 200 yards and 2 touchdowns. He did better than that. Once again, 24, 34, 289, 3 touchdowns. I have to say this as well. It's good to see our wide receivers leading us in catches and receptions rather than our running backs. Michael Mayer, 7 for 88 for a touchdown. He sat out pretty much most of the fourth quarter. Lorenzo Styles, 5 for 69, averaged 13.8. He had a touchdown, great play action post route by him or seam route. And then Logan Diggs with the wheel route wide open. That's his touchdown. He had 3 receptions for 65 yards. And then Jaden Thomas had a couple for 24 yards. So you saw the ball spread around a lot, multiple receivers. Good to see, but it all came on the tail of Notre Dame being able to run the football. They were able to run football. Lucky Lefty podcast. Let's get into it. Let's get to some of your comments. See, Oregon, man. This Oregon-Washington State game is very intriguing.
Yeah, I'm watching it too. And it's pretty crazy to see Bo Nix struggle against Washington State, which is coming up on the team.
What dude? Bo Nix is awful. That pick six he threw earlier in the game was just awful. Awful. His attempt to tackle the linebacker was awful. It's awful. So I want to say this. Once again, we've been asking. CJ Prosize pointed out some of the things that were undisciplined. It wasn't until the third quarter when this team started to show some issues with penalties, mistakes. They played a flawless first half as far as discipline, in my opinion. North Carolina made some plays, but Notre Dame played their game. They made some mistakes or missed some plays and opportunities early in the game. Honestly, they should have scored 55 points in this game.
Definitely should have scored 55. I don't know what they were thinking. Like, this is a game that we're supposed to run it up.
Yeah, you get the Aldrich Estime fumble, which I understand. A lot of people may feel like Aldrich needed to protect the ball there going in. But, I mean, the man broke 3 tackles, spun off the last tackle, and is spinning away, putting his left arm down. And, I mean, he can't see that there's a man right there next to Braden Lindsey in the end zone. He's thinking, I'm right here. Let me reach back and see if I can get a touchdown. And unfortunately, it was a heads-up play by the North Carolina defensive back to knock the ball out right before he was able to put it over the goal line. It's just one of those freak plays, man.
One of those freak plays, you're right.
The effort he gave, I'm not a –
yeah. Effort, and then at the end, it's something that tricks you up at the end. I mean, you can't blame him for that. He made an amazing play. They just got to finish. It's just what happens when you're on a trend where you're trying to slide upwards, but you're sliding down at the same time.
Yeah. Tim B has a question. You can grab this, Luff. How does it change opposing team's scheme against Notre Dame that we finally opened it up? So the next 3 games, I believe, are BYU, UNLV, and Stanford.
Games that are definitely winnable. I think if anything, it's just opportunities to show a lot of different looks in games where we know we can win. So if anything, it's just about advancing and progressing the offense, seeing different formations that Drew Pyne is comfortable with, seeing different formations that the guys are more functional in to be able to pull out when you're in the most serious games with the USCs of the world. So it's important that, it's good for Tommy to be creative, but also be able to still continue the success he's had in the points. So I think as long as he keeps that in mind, we'll have a great success moving forward in the season, developing our offense from here. This was a confidence game, a good start to be able to feel like we're that 10-win team like we are every year.
Great job scheme-wise by Al Golden early in the game. He knew the passing game would be a problem and be formidable, had a chance to make plays against their defense, and he made sure that they crashed the ends and suffocated the Carolina run game early and often and frustrated them and made Phil Longo strictly go to that passing game. I think they said it on the television. Like when Notre Dame came back, took the lead, Mac Brown immediately went down to Phil Longo and the rest of the offensive coaches snapped off because he knew we're not stopping Notre Dame today. And we're not winning this game unless we score points. So let's get it going. They eventually scored on that drive. But after that, Notre Dame was almost like a boa constrictor and just got tighter and tighter. The switching the coverages, the different blitzes. He would bring in 3 linemen and then move Marist out to the edge. And sometimes Marist would come. Then Marist would fake and spy on Drake May and take away his ability to scramble once the pressure got to him or once they bumped him out of the pocket. Fabulous job by the Notre Dame defense turning the tide of that game until Notre Dame's offense was able to get on track.
No, you're absolutely right. Being able to be as flying around as they were, see guys have fun, see guys do their job. It was great to see, and it was a great advantage for Marcus Freeman to be able to feel comfortable in another game after a win, to be able to stack something else, to be able to move on to the next week, regardless of the struggles that he has on his plate now and something that he has to figure out down the road. So for him to be able to, get another big win on the road, stack another win after the first tough win that we had last week, you're starting to see momentum. You're starting to see things come together for Notre Dame's offense as well as the Notre Dame football team for this year. It's still not heavy expectations, so the expectations are low enough for us to be able to do what we need to do in the year of a transition.
Lefty podcast. Once again, 51 carries for 287 yards left. Like we've been begging for this offensive line to step up. The two youngsters on the left and the right at the tackle position. Look, the work that Joe Alt and Jared Patterson put together on the left side today, they were collapsing that side of the defensive line all day long. All day long. And collectively, before we get to the grades for each unit, I thought the offensive line once again just took the game over. They took the Cal game over, and they took this game over. And if they're going to continue to do that and grow and get better, I like what I'm seeing from this team moving forward. Like I said, okay, college football playoffs out of the picture. But hey, it's about development, building culture, and Marcus Freeman from the jump has always said the vision for this program, great offensive line play, great defensive line play. And that's what we've been getting the last 2 weeks.
Absolutely. The difference, like Deion Sanders said, between him and Jackson State was the guys up front. For us, we've had a history of guys up front on the offensive line to be able to dominate games in situations like these where talent may be similar to equal on the skill level, but to be able to go out there and push those guys around on the offensive line, defensive line, had a great day. It's good to see us being able to dominate, and then you start to see how we can flourish as a team. The points become easier, the runs become easier, making the right blocks, doing the right things. So winning up front is a staple within any game, but it was important in this one, and we were able to show our dominance.
Yo, more than that, you have your identity. Now Drew Pyne can settle in. Whether or not it's going to be good enough to win throughout the schedule, we'll see. I'm sure they're going to face teams that are going to continue to come up, bump and run, take things away, try to take Michael Mayer away. Eventually, they're going to have to go over the top against man-to-man bump and run. They have to. But
right.
You get 2 weeks to practice, heal up, get better, and continue the trend of dominating physically. BYU. What did we just see BYU? What's the last memory of BYU? What did we just see?
He scored on them by Oregon.
Getting physically manhandled by Oregon in that offensive line. Game plan should be simple. It's 2 weeks to practice, 2 weeks to prepare, 2 weeks to heal up. Everything should be going good when they get out to Vegas. Let's see, bro. You ready? Let's get to a couple of questions, man. Tyler Benj, thank you for tapping in, my man. Marist actually played okay.
Marist is not the impact player that I thought he was coming into the season, but he is. And he does have the ability to make plays throughout the game. He may show flashes. I think he's still coming back from his injury, but I would expect more of a bigger impact.
6 tackles, half a sack for Marist today, 4 solo.
But a lot of it is because, I believe that he's a better talent than the other 2 linebackers.
Well, he's not your prototypical inside linebacker. He really needs to be outside, blitzing, doing different things, being in space so he can use his talents. When he has to think and hesitate, that's when he gets into the trick bag. And they did a lot of getting him outside in space today.
Yeah. The space thing is still something that's lingering for us.
Yeah.
We got to be able to rally within space and bring down the guy. I mean, a lot of teams are going to that. A lot of teams are singling out guys out wide. It's obviously a concern for us, but we got to make a play. Got to make a play.
Man, look, this third down thing, I don't care if it's scrambling quarterbacks, not tackling. Like he scrambled one time, 3 people met him 2 yards before the first down, and he still was able to get the first down. Light his tail up.
Yeah.
Light his tail up.
Light him up.
I need some dogs, some nasty dudes on defense. Like light him up. Man, we said this before the season that this guy right here could be the key to the front four. Riley Mills showed up big time today. Big time. Great game. Whether he was lined up on the interior or outside, the young man showed up, 2 sacks on the day, multiple pressures. I like seeing that from the big man.
Yeah, we've been talking a lot about Riley Mills and being able to step up and make a change this year. And for him to finally start coming alive, it's still early in the season for him to show that, shows that it's some progress, shows that it's still inning, and it's more games to come on that we got it.
The big dog, Shaun. What's up, Shaun? Eli Raridon is a stud at run blocking. As a freshman, he might be the best run blocker on the team.
He might be. I mean, we're not asking Michael Mayer to do that, but I'm sure Michael Mayer, we ask him to do that all the time, probably.
And he wasn't even the second tight end to come out for the first series was Holden Stays.
And that's the more dynamic playmaker.
Holden Stays was out there. Eli Raridon was out there. Look, tight end U. It's coming to a season near you. They're going to continue to have big time tight ends. You have 2 in this class, and you have a couple of more coming in 23. You have another one in Jack Larson coming in 24 already, committed to Notre Dame. Running backs and tight ends. We will give you running backs and tight ends at Notre Dame and offensive line. David Jones, yeah. What is it going to take for TR to get Tobias into the game? Look, man, what happened to getting the best players on the field? Look, David, there is nothing that Matt Salerno has done that Tobias can't do.
That Tobias can't do. That's absolutely right. That's absolutely right.
Nothing. We have been shown nothing offensively, scheme-wise, talent-wise, that Matt Salerno has done that Tobias Merriweather cannot do.
That's right. That's right. And a lot of that is going back to what are we trying to do as an identity and as a coaching staff? Are we looking to pacify this behavior? Or are we looking to win games and get through this?
So you got your first look at Prince Colley. How did you feel about number 10 out there on the field today?
I'm always a Prince Colley fan, so I was excited to see him out there. He made some good plays, he made some bad plays, but for him to not be out there as much as he should for what he did today, that's solid. I can take that. I would love to see a little bit more explosion, love to see a little bit more in the mix against better competition, but that's why we wanted you, because of the better competition, not because you can flash during teams that don't do that well.
I know in the first half, he had one play where he flashed. Man, he came downhill so fast on a run play and got in between the guard and the center. And he didn't make the tackle, but he definitely forced the running back inside. And the next thing you know, running back is getting lit up. So first time back, Marcus Freeman talked about that, possibly seeing him this week. He'll get more reps the more he, gets into the groove. 2 weeks. J.D. Bertrand, once again, won't be playing in the first half against BYU because of a targeting call that, it's a tough call. It's a tough call. It's a tough call. And I understand why people are upset. But
yeah, absolutely.
I think Al Golden, it's one thing to come in, teach during the spring, see these guys and try to get them acclimated to what you want them to do. But then there's another thing to watch film and see their strengths. And now you can start to form your defense around what they do in game. Because they can show you different things in practice, but you see the real player when everything goes live. And that film don't lie.
Yeah, film doesn't lie, and there's opportunities for us to take advantage. It's just one of those things where we have to execute on a high level and be able to trust what we're doing from the coaching staff and from the players. Offense, everybody has to be in sync. And that's not an easy thing to do. You need 11 guys to do the same thing and do their job and this, that, and the third. So it's important that they get on something like that and be able to execute on the level where it's possible to take 45-point games and make that a concurring thing outside of what we are able to flash in this instance.
Yeah. I agree with you, man. Now, one thing that did irritate me, I'm gonna keep it a buck with you, bro. I think it was the series that they eventually ended up scoring after they went for it on fourth down or fourth and goal because they got the pass interference on Chris Tyree. Once they got inside the 10, Tommy goes spread 2 passes. And I'm like, what are we doing? That's the type of stuff I'm talking about. Like, what are we doing?
What are we doing?
We're ramming the dude, run the ball. You're trying to get cute. Like, stop. Drew Pyne got us 200. Relax.
Relax. Like, that's not what we depending on. We depend on that run game.
You know, and we got lucky with a penalty call and pass interference in the end zone. We're able to score. But then we come right back. Marcus Freeman goes for it once again. You got Aldrich Estime, the big bull. Drew Pyne's 5'10", what? 200?
25.
And look, don't get cute. That's my whole message. Like, don't get cute. I think Tommy got in such a groove, and he got in a nice groove when he was making some play calls, and they were working, play action, the wheel route, the seam, getting Michael Mayer open, jet sweeps. Everything was working well. And you get in that situation, man, line up and hit them in the mouth. Just take their soul.
Yes.
Just take their soul. Like, at that point, Drew Pyne had like 220, 230. Take that to the bank. Cash that. Rest his arm. He can go out there and take.
Because that's what we brought it for.
That's what we bag.
21 to 24, about a 240, a touchdown or 2. We need you to continue drives. You're there to continue drives, keep us on the field, and let our playmakers make the plays for touchdown. You did that today against a team that's terrible, so I can't give too much credit. But we got a long season, a lot of things ahead. I think it's encouraging, but we still have a lot to work on.
So, big ups, wide receivers, offensive line, tip of the cap, huge tip of the cap for showing that you have the willingness and the ability to dominate games. At this point, it doesn't matter who the games were against. The fact that we see execution and attitude from this offensive line, it goes a long way. Let's keep building on that. Drew Pyne, big time, bro. Way to respond. Way to respond, 10. Way to respond. You muted, bro.
Way to be a veteran and do your job. Great job.
It was literally what Tommy asked him to do, right?
That's
do
right.
your damn job.
Yeah, man. And he was able to be efficient. He even ran for a first down on 3rd and long. Was able to not just pigeonhole himself and think, oh, I can't make these plays with my feet. He wasn't scared. It was great to see on a away game. Hopefully he builds on top of that. That's what we want in the rest of the year, building on top of these successful games that we have week in and week out. And I'm sure we'll be really competitive for a New Year's Six Bowl or something else. But I do think that we're in a position where guys can get better under Drew. And it's important guys like Jaden Thomas, guys like Lorenzo Styles, guys, that are catching the ball in and day out are focused on being prepared in that offense to get ready for what's coming down the pipe because we got great recruiting coming down the pipe.
Man, you have to feel great, right? Because they superseded anything we thought they would do offensively. They were kind of right in the ballpark defensively, but because we said this would be the most resistance that this North Carolina offense would see all year.
Yes, it's the most
Or
resistance
had seen up to this point.
has seen. I mean, they've been playing, under Power 5 schools. They've been struggling on that end. It's
Mhm.
great to see us against a team that's at least in the ACC, a team we can feel comfortable going against, and we did our job, man. I'm super impressed with what we did, and hopefully we can continue that throughout the rest of the schedule, especially getting geared up for big games coming down the pipeline.
Once again, 500 total yards, 576, which is right on par with North Carolina gives up. Notre Dame gave up 367 yards, 66 on the ground, 301 through the air. Most of that came late on those 2 late touchdowns. They really were right around 230, as a defense until those lapses are late in the game. 5 penalties for the game for 46 yards. If Notre Dame can stay around there, 4 or 5 penalties a game, I'm all with it. And it kept Drake May and that offense on the sideline. 38 minutes and 13 seconds against 21 minutes and 47 seconds when it comes to time of possession.
See, that's
One
what we
turnover.
want. That's what we want, some time of possession. We want to have the ball and be on the field and show that Tommy can create drives and do the things that he wants to do because the defense is set. Defense can limit you to 21 points a game. We have the ability to do that, but it requires an offense to be efficient enough to keep the defense off the field and let them do their job. It's about doing your job, and we have to stay on that.
So once again, no one won a turnover battle, one for each team. Notre Dame, North Carolina barely got over 50 plays in the game. That was towards the end. Notre Dame sat right at about 86 plays for the game. So that's the game plan moving forward, right? Time possession, run the ball, dominate up front on defense, and let the defensive backfield that is pretty much, outside of late today, still the best unit on your team. But guess what unit is coming up like, man, hold my beer? Harry Heastan in that offensive line.
Oh, yeah.
Man, yeah. Everybody that had talked for Harry Heastan, this is what we can see. What you've seen the last 2 weeks is that this staff can coach.
Yes.
I don't want that to be overlooked. What you've seen the last 2 weeks is that this staff can coach.
That's right.
The defensive line responded against Cal. Defensive backs have been pretty good, rock solid all year. The offensive line continues to get better.
That's right.
The tight end blocking, because of 2 freshmen, gets better. You can see that this staff, week to week, is doing a pretty good job of turning up the pressure and coaching this team up. That's what you like to see, and you want that to keep going.
You want it
to keep going.
We want it to keep going. I think as fans, we want to see it keep going, but at the same time, we want to be able to capitalize on what we have on a talent perspective. We want to max out our talent in this year and see what we really have moving forward and getting down to the nitty gritty.
Yeah, and shout out to Dylan McCullough. The adjustment, running backs, they struggled with picking up the blitzes. First 2 games in particular, especially the linebackers. I haven't seen as much leakage with those linebacker blitzes in the A gaps as I did the first 2 weeks. So shout out to the running backs for cleaning that up. Pass pro has gotten much better. Drew had much more time today than he had last week against Cal. BYU and their defense, it's not that formidable. Not that formidable. Really good quarterback in Jaren Hall, but they should be had by double digits in Las Vegas. Notre Dame is the better team. So you have to feel ecstatic as a fan base. Look, LL Nation Notre Dame fans, we are so far away from that feeling after that Marshall loss. Dude, enjoy this. Because this feels so much better. Man, so much better. Fourth quarter against North Carolina, to get that feeling, to know that you're dominating the team, and to watch every unit play better and get better and perform, for you to be shown that the coaches can do their job, they can develop. You see a Prince Colley come in and flash. You see the adjustments that they say, you know what, let's get Marist outside a little bit more. Let's put him in more space. They recognize, they see on film their deficiencies, and they're coaching to improve their team in every area, and you have to love it. You're on mute, bro.
You definitely got to love it because you do see the growth. You do see the week to week improvement, which is what you want. Because at the end of the day, this is about getting better week to week to get ready for next year. There is no expectations for this year. There is no national championship. There is no conference division or conference championship to play for. This is about beating your rivals and continuing to develop the younger class and the guys that are in there right now trying to get to the league and this, that, and the third. So it's important that we still stay on brand. Right now, our brand is 10 wins a season. That's on brand.
That's on brand.
That's a on brand deal that we have taken up as a program. We're a 10-win team every year. That's the only expectation outside of a championship.
Yeah.
Because if you're not to a championship, you're a 10-win season. Automatically. So a game like today is just a drop in the bucket, something that we know we should have had going into the season. This is what we're supposed to do. So it's hard to get up and speak too well of it, only because we know that we have a lot of benefit towards what we can do towards the end of the season and finishing the right way.
Yeah. Lucky Lefty podcast, man. It's a darn good feeling. This is the way you go into the bye week. In spite of the start, this is the way you want to feel, Irish fans, going into the bye week. Let's get to some grades, bro. Let's get to some grades.
That's
Let's
right.
start on the offensive side of the ball. I feel like, you're a tough grader, but I feel like you might be passing out some A's this week. I feel like you might be passing out some A's. Let's start with the quarterback, Drew Pyne.
Quarterback Drew Pyne, I'm giving him a B. I think he did exactly what he was asked of. Nothing exclamatory or exclamatory. I think at the end of the day, he did what he was supposed to do. So doing your job doesn't get an A. Doing your job gets a B for average performance. So I do think he did an average job today, doing what he was asked to do, didn't put the ball in harm's way, and was able to come out with a victory. 38 points plus or 40 plus points is what we're expected to do week to week.
Mm-hmm.
So hitting the average is nothing of a spectacular A performance. It's something that's on brand. Yeah. And so for being on brand, you get a B.
Yeah. Gavin Wright, our guy, always taps in with us. Blake Fisher did have a procedure penalty in the second half. He had a false start. And he hit his chest immediately. Like, dude, that's on me. That was dumb. Right. That was dumb. Right. So he knew what was up. Let's go to the running backs. 286 as a crew. I mean, bro, you get Aldrich over 100, Tyree 15 for 80. What's your grade?
I give it a B for all the running backs we have and the expectation we have from them. They should have had more.
You're a tough teacher, bro. You're a tough grader.
It's true. We should have had more against a team that was expected to give up a lot of yards. You see what I'm saying? We're supposed to be in the 300 range, which we weren't far from, but that's the.
When your OC comes out 5 wide, 4 wide, it doesn't give you the opportunity from the jump.
But you have to extrapolate what it would mean in a game that does matter. If we have 300 in a game that doesn't matter, you cut 50, 60 yards from that in a game that doesn't matter. That's what we're supposed to be around. So for us, yeah, we had a decent day, but not as good as we should have been on a day where we're supposed to completely dominate. It wasn't supposed to be no competition. One of the worst defenses around. We're supposed to go in there and do what we're supposed to do.
Our boy Josh Buffo, the motivational business banker, said B. You sipping that red cup too hard, Leak. He's just a hard grader. He's always been that way.
And but if you think about it, an A performance is being able to shut down a team like an Alabama does. In Alabama versus Sam Houston State.
Wait,
Shut them down.
we're talking about our running backs, though.
Our running backs, being that they all have special qualities that are different from each other, they should all be able to complement each other at the same time. RJ Estime is different from Logan Diggs, which is different from Chris Tyree. That's three different versatile styles that you're supposed to be able to affect defenses with. You're supposed to be able to trouble defenses with that. You got a power back, a shifty back, and a back that can do it all. Period.
Yeah.
Period. Having 200 yards is the minimum for a team that we're supposed to beat by 20 plus points.
Hey, I might agree with Joel Easton here. Joel, thank you for tapping in. They ran a 13-play drive, all runs. That was pretty impressive in the second half. That 13-play drive, all runs. That's that Harry Heastand type drive. That's when you know, like, okay, this is a Harry Heastand offensive line. When you get that type of drive.
It's definitely impressive being able to run 13 times straight. But when you're going against a team that's not that good, you're supposed to execute and make them 13 plays, 8 plays. Where the running back ability at? I want to see some way. I want to see some long carries because that's what we hired you for. Aldridge Gessame has big playability. Logan Diggs has some big playability. Chris Tyree, we know, has big playability, whether it be running back or this, that, and the other. So it's important that our running back, especially that room, be highlighted in their abilities. Aldridge Gessame did a great job today, getting over 100, doing what he was supposed to do. But I still think that he can push even further because at the end of the day, this defense was the bottom of the barrel. It was a defense that we know we could go in and do whatever we want. But how is that going to translate to a team where we might be even? We might be looking at the same type of issues going into.
Harry, he's standing the offensive line.
Got to give him an A. Love Harry and love how he's bouncing back.
First A.
Pyne, a guy that has no mobility. I'm not going to fake and be like, yeah, he's got some athleticism. Drew Pyne has zero athleticism. And for them to keep him upright and for him to be able to make decisions to get the ball downfield, it was impressive. But once again, it's a terrible defense. So you get an A because it's a default, because you should have got an A because that was what was expected going into the game.
Wide receivers, my man.
It was good to see more than one guy catching the ball. Seeing Lorenzo Styles getting in the end zone, seeing Lorenzo Styles and Michael Mayer being involved heavily shows that we really concerned about getting them the ball because they're our best playmakers. So seeing that was a good identifier to show that that's what we want to do. We want to get it to Michael Mayer. We want to run the ball. And then when we don't get it to Michael Mayer, we get it to Styles. That's the offense we've been talking about going into the spring, going into the summer, going into the season. That's what is going to be successful for us is Styles, Mayer, and that running back room.
Tight ends. Look, man, I'm loving these true freshman tight ends, bro. The one thing that keeps true freshman tight ends off the field is their blocking.
That's right.
And the fact that we have two athletic true freshman tight ends that excel at blocking and might be the two best blockers at the position. That's something to feel good about. What's your grade for those tight ends, bro?
Definitely got to give them an A because, one, they did more than just catching the football. They were able to block and be an impact in the game, not just Michael Mayer, but the whole room. So it was really good to see them boys really doing their thing, getting the opportunity to not only show that they can be the foundation of an offense that begs for points, but they're able to go do their job with a good team or a bad team. It doesn't matter. They do what they're supposed to, and it's very impressive.
Let's go to the defensive side. Oh, you got to give your grade for Tommy Rees.
Tommy Rees, you get an A today, man. It was good to see you put up the numbers that you're expected to put up from the beginning of the season. That's the type of offense that you want to get a top 5 offense in the country. And that's what we expect moving forward. These games are going to get tougher, but we expect that you and Drew being a veteran in the whole system, we're supposed to come out with victories. You hear me? Yo, I'm still here with y'all boys. I don't know what happened with Shaun, but I'm still here.
Yeah, my fault, bro. I don't know what happened to the connection. We apologize to the fans. So we left off on defense side of the ball. You talked about Tommy Rees. You gave his grade. Let's talk about the defense side of the ball.
I thought defense played great. They've been playing great through the first 4 weeks. It's important to see them can stay consistent, especially the amount of play volume that they are accumulating. I think it's good that they're able to manage it and still be aggressive and keep their identity. Usually, when you're playing that many plays as a defense, you want to be real basic because you don't want to get something to where you're letting up
Yeah.
holes in the defense that gives up a lot of plays. So for them to stay who they are and have a lot of plays on defense and still be able to allow points that are less than the average of what they score is very important to see.
Defensive line. Let's start there. What's your grade for the defensive line? They come
I'm
away
giving
with 3
B
sacks on
plus,
the day.
giving them a B plus to see Valley Mills get in there, to see the defensive line make an appearance to show that they have some life. I mean, it was good to really get a chance to take advantage of, and hopefully we can continue this trend moving forward. We don't want to see guys not having that ability to make plays and to do the things that we know can cause havoc, leading from a secondary that's growing in what they are. We want to be able to be an equal balance on defense, and I think today showed we're making the next step in that progress.
I want to go to the linebackers because I feel like we pick on them. I thought the linebackers played okay today. I don't know how, from a scheme standpoint, they kept allowing a linebacker to end up on Josh Downs. But it's like, yo, that cat Tariq was talking crazy to Josh Downs today, too.
That's right.
He was
That's right.
woofing at that dude, and he followed him all over the field. Like, even
That's
when
right.
he went outside, Tariq was like, I got you. That was a nice matchup. I thought he did a pretty good job, working on him and not allowing him to become, a dominant impact or a dominant receiver in the game. He only ended up with 5 catches for 32 yards, even though he did have 2 touchdowns.
And that's what we want. We want a guy that doesn't have a lot of production value in yards, but and that's a signifier that we're taking away your best key. And if
Mm-hmm.
we take away your best key, we have a chance in what you guys are doing to be able to minimize that. So we were able to get on the field on offense and be able to score more points. So defensively, Al Golden did a great job taking away Caleb Downs or Josh Downs because that's the benefactor of that offense. And to take that away shows that they're going to struggle. And Drake May didn't have the day that he had against the first 3 weeks opponents, and it showed in that instance.
It really did. Let's go to the defensive backfield. This is going to be an interesting grade, bro, because if I had asked you this if I had asked you about this grade through the third quarter, halfway, I feel like it would have been a much higher grade.
Yeah, you got to give them a B minus, just because they didn't finish right. Cam Hart's been giving up a lot. It's pretty alarming due to the fact that he wasn't as targeted as much, and now he's probably the most targeted for big plays. So got to give him a B minus, but overall, I really believe that group has made vast improvements from last year. So you can't give him anything lower than a C, especially when we win.
Al Golden.
I'll go and I give him a B plus, man. Being able to know what another week of knowing what's coming up and preparing and having the guys in the right spots, especially taking advantage of bullshit. Love to see it.
It's amazing as I sit here and I just watch these same Ohio State receivers just run around on everybody like it's nothing.
What we're doing to Tobias Merriweather is a crime, and I understand why Carnell Tate went to Ohio State, even though I would love him at Ohio State, at Notre Dame. It's a crime what they're doing to guys that are freshmen the year before Carnell Tate, because those guys deserve to play. We're not no elite team to where receivers especially can't get on the field. So for us to keep denying him to get on the field is a problem and the issue, only because what's the issue?
Yeah.
What's the issue?
Yeah, I agree. So before we get ready to close, man, we thank everybody for tapping in. Once again, Notre Dame wins 45-32 over North Carolina. Going into the bye week, they head out to Vegas to face off against the BYU Cougars at 2-2 on the season. Once again, shout out to Drew Pyne, who gets his second victory, 24-34 for 289, 8.5 on the day with 3 touchdowns. It's a QBR of 91.4. I thought he was fantastic. Aldrich Estimate 17 for 134, 2 touchdowns. Chris Tyree 15 for 80 with a touchdown. Logan Diggs 10 for 50. And Logan Diggs also had 3 receptions for 65 yards with the touchdown. The running backs did work. And then Michael Mayer was just dominant. 7 receptions, 88 yards. That's 12.5, 1 touchdown. Fantastic overall performance. You thought, or you would have felt even better if they had closed it the way it should have closed. You wish Aldrich Estimate doesn't fumble, score a touchdown, get to 52, keep them down at 20, kick off, get another stop. It didn't happen. Things went haywire. That's cool. Coach them up, get better, and come back with a better performance and continue to dominate physically with that offensive line and defensive line. What else do you want to see from this team when they face BYU? What will you be looking for?
I'm looking for a complete game, especially I'm looking for a better effort on special teams. I want to see something in the punt return, because that is what's going to change the game in these tough games for us. Outside of the quarterback, it's going to be special teams. So I want to see a heavy presence of special teams in a BYU game. Give us some positive return yards to flip the field position, put our offense in better position to score points, because that's what it's all about. So special teams is going to be an interest for me in the BYU game, especially because they're going to make it tough. These guys are always making a tough game because they're way older than what they should be. They're 24 playing against 21-year-olds. So it's going to be interesting to see, but I do believe that with special teams and a better return effort, we can make the games a lot more beneficial for the offense.
One last one before we go. Derek Jankart says, I want to see young guys play. We need to have them ready and get game experience. Other teams do it all the time with success. The only youngster that's not playing is Tobias. Yeah. And the freshman linebackers. Prince Colley played. Junior's been playing for multiple games.
Ford, I want to see Tyson Ford out there.
Tyson Ford got out there. Gabriel Rubio got out there at the start of the game. So the young guys are being thrown in. The only one that we have a complaint about is Tobias. That's it. Other than Snead's not ready. He's not physically
He's
ready.
not ready because he don't have a body yet.
He doesn't. He's not physically ready. So,
but he'll be ready as the years go on. But he's
absolutely.
just not.
So, thank you for joining us today. We'll see you Monday, Players Lounge. Reggie Brooks will be with us, and we might have another special guest jump in with us on the Lucky Lefty podcast. We appreciate you. Share, like, let everybody know. Most of all, subscribe. Let everybody know Lucky Lefty podcast. We're headed to 2,900 because of you, LL Nation. So enjoy the rest of this victory Saturday. Notre Dame 45, North Carolina 32. We'll see you in 2 weeks in Vegas for the next post-game show.
Right.
Enjoy the rest of the weekend. Most of all, make sure you spend it different.